Hello and welcome back to our continuing adventures on the LetsDefend platform. Today we are tackling the 3CX exercise on the incident responder path. So this is SOC182, EventID 132. So let's see. So 3CX DLL-Sideloading attack detected. And we got a path. And we got a hash, we got a classification, we got a time, and we have an L1 note. I searched the hash value in the alert on Google and VirusTotal. According to the results, I realized that it was related to a supply chain attack. I started the escalation process of the alert for more detailed analysis. Now, for those that have been underneath a rock, or in my particular case, in a boat in the Southern Caribbean, when this decided to go down, this is, as it has turned out, a two-time supply chain attack. And I was trying to find... because ultimately there's this whole thing ended up being about cryptocurrency. So I think it was like only 10 systems that the malware actually kicked off on. I mean, fully activated. Sure, it might have been installed in Lord knows how many machines, but effectively, then I believe that it was all targeted to the crypto industry. I will have to see is about actually finding a article that denotes that particular aspect. I've read several of them on Bleeping Computer. There's been several that have been put out by, or at least one by Sentinel-1, because this was all picked up by Sentinel-1, CrowdStrike. I think there was one other player picked up that there was something funky with the latest update for the 3CX, and effectively what it is, it's voice over IP application. So, effectively replace your, old desk phone with a soft phone, although they may offer actual hookup to like Cisco or some sort of IP phone too. But apparently several large organizations use it, or at least did. I think it was, yeah, so at least the time this stuff was going on. So this is what, late March 2023? Digitally signed and Trojanized version of the 3CX Voice over Internet Protocol desktop client. So basically would hit organizations, American Express, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, BMW, Honda, Air France, and a bunch of others. Okay, Sophos, CrowdStrike. And I believe 3CX originally said that it was a false positive. They did more digging, and then 3CX changed their tune. They blamed some other vendor. At the time, everybody thought they were blaming ffmpeg because of the file names that are used in the portion. So there's a ffmpeg.dll that's mentioned. So effectively, when this stuff kicks off, it dumps the malicious ffmpeg.dll and a d3d compiler underscore 47.dll. The desktop app is not malicious, but the two DLLs are. And so the ffmpeg gets sideloaded, and then that's used to extract and decrypt the payload from the d3d compiler underscore 47. And then the weird thing is like for the next stage, it would reach out to a bunch of, I thought they were GitHub. Various GitHubs. In order to pull down an icon. And then thankfully we've got a bunch of IOCs in the various articles that are in here. So effectively what this was the compromise of 3CX was what alerted everybody, but apparently this goes deeper. Apparently there's a trader_x platform that is mentioned. Apparently it's made by a company called Trading Technologies, and that ended up being what looks to be the source. So they got popped. Malicious code was added into this trader_x platform, and apparently 3CX must have had some sort of use for this as it filtered downstream, so now they get popped and it just moves through. And so this is blamed on North Korea, at least as it sits here at the ass end of April. I will wrap up the various bleeping computer articles along with anything else that I can find. So I think it was 3CX got Mandiant involved to go through and do an investigation. And apparently there was also wasn't just Windows, apparently there was also Mac OS X that was targeted. Oh yeah, okay, X_trader software package. So this actually spells it out rather nicely. UNC 4736, Pop Trading Technologies, planted their stuff in X_trader. Apparently one of those ended up being 3CX, and then so that led to the further issues downstream, which led Sentinel-1, Sophos, and CrowdStrike users to be wondering, hey, why is this latest version of the desktop app throwing alerts? And I don't know as to whether or not if this particular one Operation Dream Job, where North Korean hackers, basically the Lazarus group, were sending out fake job offers. Oh, and then apparently there was critical infrastructure also affected. Although I can't say that I have heard of any sort of, say, power outages or 911 disruptions, at least anything in the US. So it could just be, okay, yeah, the Trojanized portion got on the particular systems that would be protected by one of the other three vendors that, or one of the three one of the not three vendors that started detecting this stuff in March. So Sophos, CrowdStrike, Sentinel-1, at least as I understand it. So, double supply chain, very interesting aspect. I'm just glad the organization I work for does not use 3CX, so I did not miss a dumpster fire. I did not have a dumpster fire waiting when I came back after vacation. So anyways, history of the events surrounding 3CX. So let's get back to this particular aspect. So we've got the hash. I've already taken that, dumped it into VirusTotal, refreshed the results because it was over 24 hours old, and giant shock, 53 out of 70. Although the time frame that they put this on is the beginning of April. So I suppose at that particular point, news of this would have started to get around, because by this particular point, so April 3rd, we've already got the write-up on from Bleeping Computer. We got the additional for the cryptocurrency stuff would have been coming out on April 3rd. April 11th, March 31st. Okay, I don't have these in the right order then. So oh yeah, there was a 10-year-old bug or vulnerability in Windows. That's something to do with the way that the digital signatures for the files, because the 3CX desktop was signed. Well, obviously because the organization was popped. But effectively, they would have showed as not, if I understand the particular portion, or not properly signed, if the modifications were made. And I understand that Microsoft's been dragging their feet because there's a lot of different legitimate software installers that would effectively either break or throw an error if they basically patch this. And I think the Google Chrome installer was the big portion. Okay, yeah, it talks about it right here. So the Google Chrome installer adds data to the authentic code structure to determine if you opted into sending usage statistics and crash reports to Google. So basically the portion that you were asked when it was being installed, basically you want to report back to the mothership. But I'll basically wrap all these up and put through. So effectively, if you have a Windows 10, Windows 11 machine, it would be the more secure option to go through and make the changes that they suggest. Of course, now you just have to keep in mind that you've done this, because you go and maybe reinstall Google Chrome after removing it. You might end up having to sit there, and it might throw you for a slight loop on this particular portion. Okay, so yeah, and then the example that they give down here, if it's turned off, the D3D compiler underscore 47.dll, you can actually see the digital signatures. Whereas if you sit there and turn on the authentic, or what is it exactly? The cert padding check, effectively the digital signatures tab gets removed. But so we'll put all that stuff in there. So let's walk away from this particular aspect now that we've talked about the hoopla that was 3CX, and then by extension Trading Technologies, the actual organization that started the domino chain. So we are looking for any sort of traffic on the perimeter for 172.16.17.96. So the target machine in this particular case for all this. And we do. And it's on April 3rd, same time this stuff was going on. So let's take a look at the raw logs. We have nothing. At least nothing that shakes out from these. So what exact time? 1:26 p.m. Okay, so this is reverse order. So if we take this, and let's just start first off with VirusTotal to the actual IP addresses. We're going to see GitHub, Cloudflare, So let's work up the chain, which I suppose would make sense because Cloudflare's in front of a lot of different sites. Cloudflare again. DigitalOcean. Ah, okay. Looks like this has some sort of relation to 3CX because the DNS is for 1275.3cx.cloud. Was there a 3cx.cloud or were these all just .coms? Okay, well, let's continue walking up the chain and see what else we find. There, much better. And we go to Akamai. And then the last one is going to, again, be what looks to be for the 3CX. Goes back DigitalOcean, but then if we take a look, date resolved, 4.3, it was going to a subdomain of 3cx.cloud. I suppose we could take a look at 1275.3cx.cloud, content delivery. It's registered a long time ago. I don't suppose that it actually sits there and talks about, no. So we'd probably have to go hunting around a bit to see as to whether or not. There's our IP address in question. Part, media sharing. Although I have to think that because this has been as long as it has been, I mean, we're at the end of April, and this was the first part of April, that everything would have adjusted more, but okay, so we don't have a whole hell of a lot in terms of things coming to our box in question. I'm just running through, see if there was anything. Does not appear to be anything there. Jack at fake_ms. Yeah. Threat intel. We don't have anything that's been put in here within the past couple of years, so I don't think we have to worry as much about that. There's our box in question. Oh boy, it's a server. So browsing history, no browsing history. All right. No web browsing on a Windows server. No command history. We end up with, I guess it's more. Process lit. Multiple win logins, multiple win inits. Oh, this one actually talks about Sentinel-1. And then we see so there's the desktop app. Oh, this thing is a mess. Signature update. There's just so much crap in here. Okay, so we have update kicking off. Ah, 1275.3cx.cloud. Exactly what we observed off of one of the IP addresses after looking through. So I suppose what I should do. Oh, alert trigger reason. Yeah, I suppose I should probably be doing my default of jotting this stuff down to come back to. I'll have to clean that up in a second. And then we end up with the perimeter. Thankfully, there's nothing in there. Or the extra points. I'll have to clean that up after. We get date, we get type, we get source address, we get source port, we get destination address, destination port. And we don't have anything for the raw, so that's kind of pointless. Hey, little butt. Puppy has joined us. Did we get... Yes, okay. And I'll build out the first one. Granted, you guys don't get to see it, but it's effectively just a text copy of what's sitting right here. Okay, I got started enough with that. So we go back to the endpoint. Network connections. Of course, the one I'm not looking forward to is trying to it's the time that, okay. It's like I'm trying to make this particular portion out, and the formatting's just weird. Again, I know stuff you guys can't see, but it's just basically jotting down enough notes from all this. And then we didn't have anything for command history, anything else like that. Oh God, administrator's the primary. And process list is just inventory logging. Registration. Well, given the fact that we've got indications already that the particular DLL that we know for a fact is malicious is on the box itself, we're going to do a little bit of preempting. Yes, we want to contain the host because we're going to nuke and pave this sucker. And then we're going to see about starting up the environment. Because I'm going to imagine that we're going to have to sit there and just confirm that this stuff has gone through. But given the fact that we have the initial detection with the ffmpeg, we have the hash that matches a known malicious sample, then I guess the only thing else that we might be potentially looking for is that D3D compiler underscore 47. Yep, so we got the MSI there, they kicked that off. So is this just as it goes through? So time-wise. So we get that being activated for the desktop app. We get registration where it adds the 3CX desktop app into current version run. I mean, so far it looks like it lines up. Parent path. Then we get the Windows event. And this looks like this is uninstalling and reinstalling manifests. npcap. So it's querying. We get more of this, so auto launch. Auto launch. So still waiting for something more than just that as it sits. Collection state. Google update kicking off. Again, we're back to the auto launch. So the relevant portions. So here we have our first metaphorical indicator where it's calling what, like a TCP connection to https://1275.3cx.cloud/p/blah blah 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 blah. Ah, crap. Okay. RKI. It looks like this was duplicated a few times. It's back to auto launch. And then we get the update. More of that. And this is going straight to, is it the same particular portion for the command line? So it's doing update. Nope, it's check for update. This one is actually, looks like pulling it because it's missing for the command line so the update.exe before this, the command line was pointing to the update.exe space dash dash check for update, and then we get the 1275.3cx.cloud address again. And then this one here is literally dash dash update. And is this more the same? Yes, process ID 5880. And just calling update.exe space dash dash update. And then the same exact path as before. And then we get the supposed updated. And then it looks like we have Defender going through and doing signature updates. Just to dirty up the log a little bit more. This had a lot that went into it. I am not going to sit there and generate too much guff in regards to that. Let's open this in a new tab. Newest update is available. Do you want to have it installed now? Oh boy. And not ever having used this, I don't know how we can... Okay, so this talk URL does appear to confirm that 1275.3cx.cloud from inside of this particular is legitimate. So that's good. I don't see an about section, as I was kind of hoping there might possibly be. So we could tell what version before we go and jump straight into this particular aspect, but you know, but as I understand this, this should have already occurred by what we were looking at. So here's the question. The alert that we got that started this whole thing. CUs, okay, so it does give us an actual path. So let's just look in there. C users, LetsDefend. And of course the typical, we cannot show you the AppData folder, but it is there and it is waiting. Local. Programs, 3CX Desktop App, App 1812 416 is missing. But look at these happy little friends right here. So we're going to see if Chrome loads. It does. Hooray. And then I just want to confirm. So ffmpeg. This is not what's there, what we were alerted on. Of course, the path is different as well. So that appears to be what's in there. That's 3 hours ago, so that's not the issue. And then we have app, and then this particular aspect, that has a different hash than what we were given. And so the files that are here don't seem to kick anything off. No shit. At the actual Sentinel-1. Not mitigated, not mitigated, not mitigated. But if we hold this over, 416. Yeah. So this is exactly what we were looking for. All these things were here. So they got the installer. It was on the system. And then it looks like it updated again. Well, and maybe you've got experience with this, but where in the heck do you find the version number? Oh well, I mean, all that stuff is gone, so I'm assuming that this is going to be... Yeah, so this just replaced all this stuff. So if I had to guess, 1812.425. And the version that was alerting is 1812.416. So the Sentinel-1 application proves, according to its own logs, that this thing was here. It was on the system. Otherwise, why would we have the logs for it? Although, unfortunately, I was really hoping that I'd be able to get more detail than just that. Of course, now here's the question. Oh my god, it actually... Of course, it doesn't give us anything. So, okay, here's the... Okay, never mind, it actually does. So we can't find it in the actual path, but we have it actually downloaded. And given the fact that this looks like it was expanded out, so we've got that it was executed. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the MSI in the C Windows installer. We wouldn't have the DLLs dumped out into C users, LetsDefend, AppData, local programs, 3CX Desktop App. Yeah, and it looks like the update was going through because the update.exe from the process logs, so the check for update and then the update denote basically pulling 18.12.416. And then when we end up with the same thing. Oh crap. Okay. So now we can actually display this full screen. So Sentinel-1 looks like it did not mitigate. So it looks like this was installed, this was running, everything else like that. Although considering the fact that LetsDefend is not a crypto organization, not so much of an issue. But still, we have evidence that it did indeed execute on the box. So, I mean, we've got pretty much everything we, well, I mean, we could go through, run it again. It should go through and kick out, right? And rebuild the stuff. So let's do this. 3CX, can we just kill that? Thank you. And I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to go ahead and, oh. So we can't go through and reinstall. Okay, so at least this. Let's just file executed, not mitigated, but we're still prevented from running it. So, I mean, just the AV logs themselves tell the story. To say, can we actually scan it for threats? And of course, we don't have 7-zip on here to see as to whether or not if we could extract out the parts so we could get the hash. But given the fact that we have indications that the infected version was executed, which we can confirm through the denotions in Sentinel-1. We have the detection from the L1 hash that matches everything else that we've been seeing. So this definitely looks like it was run, the update was applied, and we can consider the machine effectively compromised because we had malicious code dumped on the box. So now the question is, was the version that was here, it had to have been a more up-to-date version. I hate doing this. But now I want to go back and take a look at the version, or try to get the version number for the app that's running currently. But all this stuff here, I'm fairly certain we've got every indication that we need that the compromised version was launched on the box. So we'll go ahead and take ownership. Find the device alarm in the endpoint security page. Access device with the connect to. Yes, we've done that. I've got it spinning up. Alarms escalated from tier 1 to tier 2 should be caused by a truly harmful event, but escalated. Well, truly harmful? No, not so much, considering the fact that at least at the time, at the time, the infrastructure was still there, still running, everything else like that. The fact that we can't identify exactly what domains were behind the Cloudflare IPs, everything else like that, I mean, realistically, yes, we have every indication that malicious software was run on the box. It was not mitigated. So by that particular point, everything on the box is now suspect as it sits. So as much as it's not considered really truly harmful, because everything is neutered now, but at the time this was going on, it's legit. So I'm going to call it true positive. You can find the type alert on the monitoring page. So according to this, the classification was malware. So what is it? Riskware. Yeah, we get it. It's DLL hijack. So what exactly did this allow them to do? Sentinel-1 detects penetration framework or shellcode when analyzing the 3CX Desktop App. Well, effectively, it's a working copy of 3CX, but it's got some extra stuff into it, so I'm going to call it Trojan. Has it? Sentinel-1 proves that to us. And the fact that the process list as well. So this updated itself to 18.12.422. Probably to correct. Yeah, so it just updated itself. Auto launch. Okay, so if we go now back, open a new tab. So this is going to be 422, isn't it? Yeah, 18.12.422. So effectively, it has updated itself again outside of the bad version. So yeah, every indication that it executed. Initial access method, that is supply chain compromise. Determine the scope, threat, risk to the organization. As it sits, it would be extremely low because one, LetsDefend is not a crypto org. But if we approach this at the time that it's specifying, so if we were to approach this as April 3rd as opposed to April 29th, we would essentially hedge our bets and we would probably just say hi because we're not entirely sure as to what all this does. And at that point, the domains and everything else like that were still up. So I'm going to approach this more to the aspect of being in the mindset that it's April 3rd, 2023, as opposed to April 29th, 2023. brand impact, yeah, if everybody knew that LetsDefend was using 3CX on the background and they had this stuff come through. Plus, it's okay if it's actually being used. Granted, this is the first time that we've actually seen it in the environment. So I'm going to say medium. No, let's take it from that particular aspect, high. Because at least by this point, we would have domains that we could check. Which is kind of the other aspect too. We didn't see any of this stuff in any of the available logs. Of course, granted, it's not exactly like it was readily available. By that, I mean we got the perimeter logs just showed IP addresses. There was nothing in the raw log to denote any of these particular domains had Cloudflare or anything else in front of them, Akamai. We are dealing with just what was there. But I think we've got enough. But we're going to classify it as high. Persistence. Well, they put the app in for boot, login, auto start. Is where it was registered in the current version run. So it wasn't scheduled task. Privilege escalation. I mean, we don't really have any sort of additional evidence to support anything besides what was there. So I'm going to say no. Which credential access? I'm not aware of any. Does the device need to be isolated? Yeah, because at some particular point it did have a malicious detection. The compromised executable was run on the device. It did extract. It did appear to sit there and allow it to run through. We've already done the containment. And we would effectively nuke and pave. And hopefully we've kept a older version of the 3CX client we'd be able to roll back to, or is what we can see here. It looks like it's rolled out with 18.12.422, which doesn't look like it is part of the problem. So how did the attack happen? Compromised software package from a vendor. And they themselves were compromised by a upstream vendor themselves. How about staff and management performance dealing with the incident? Well, L1 had the hash value, and they actually sat there and searched in Google and VirusTotal. Now, I don't know what VirusTotal was flagging at the particular time for that ffmpeg. And again, this is on the 4th. So a decent amount of write-ups, at least on the initial aspect, would have been available and more than likely showing up inside of Google. So I would say that L1 handled it admirably. You know, they didn't just take the hash and dump it inside of VirusTotal. they actually tried to search for anything more in regards to it, which hopefully would have stumbled upon this portion to, if they're including the note that it's part of a supply chain attack. So they must have found a write-up in regards to this. What would staff and management do differently the next time a similar incident occurs? Well, with this particular aspect, immediately push for the machine to be quarantined, just in case. Although realistically, hopefully there would have been a security person or persons team that would have been sitting there and looking at various articles and the talk on InfoSec Twitter, stuff along those lines, to get a better understanding that, hey, there's a lot of talk about 3CX right now. Hey, we happen to have 3CX on a limited portion of the environment. Maybe we want to see as to whether or not if we can find any sort of evidence to support, a greater hunt. I mean, do we have any boxes that downloaded the malicious update? And did we see any further execution from that point? Corrective actions to prevent similar incidents in the future. I mean, realistically, the one that's effectively the double-edged sword, holding off on going through and doing updates to so doing version control yourself for your organization. But then that becomes a bottleneck. So I guess it's kind of weigh the pros and cons as to update as soon as possible, or sit there and try to have a measured response. Maybe you can poke some more at it, run it through, and then consider it good enough and push it out to everybody. The other aspect would be, I mean, if you've been able to sit there and collect the installers, the updates as these things come through, maybe you're, religiously dumping them into VirusTotal. Maybe you're dumping them into Integer, and you're paying attention to your major software packages as to, especially underneath Integer, how, actually, I wonder if they actually have this in there. It's been a while since I've had to spell it. Did I screw that up terribly? Yeah, looks like I did. Okay, I think I found it. ER as opposed to AR. Yeah, that's not really what I want to see. I want to do the scanning. Yeah, I don't want to demo. I just want to be able to sit there and dump this in and see as to whether or not. Because I think it just used to be the analyze. Yeah, just like that. Just like that. Or am I actually going to absolutely have to sign in? Okay, 1 second. Okay, it does have a scan for it. Doesn't have a code breakout. But it then points to, so okay, this one denotes the, is this the same 7.9 for the ffmpeg? Yes. So we have the D3D compiler as another potential hash. So D3D compiler underscore 47.dll. And so if we grab that, duplicate. I mean, you could probably go through and see if Sysmon was on the box and have collaborating evidence from there, but I am mainly going off of Sentinel-1. So here's the hash for the D3D compiler underscore 47.dll. And that, okay, 24 hours, not bad. More than half have something picked out for it. So, yeah. But I was really hoping to sit there and see something along the lines for the genetic analysis for this particular aspect. But like if we look at the ffmpeg, so we get 23, unlabeled, Microsoft. Yeah, the unique would probably be the section that would be more concerning with me. Potentially the unlabeled too. But realistically, this would be like why I would love to be able to sit there with a platform like this. Be able to sit there, have the organization pay for a subscription, and then basically take every version of the software that we use from the vendors and upload it at a time, one after the other, to make sure that everything's in there. So that way we're building out a rough idea from everything we've seen that's perfectly okay and acceptable. We can get some sort of idea as to where these ranges should theoretically be. So in the event that, okay, granted, this one would probably maybe throw us for a loop. $200 a month, that's, I mean, not terrible, but to just kind of see as to where all this would potentially sit. And we didn't have like an actual installer, did we? For this, the updated version of this 3CX. That was LetsDefend. AppData local programs. 3CX. We got the application, and then here's 425. Yeah, we don't have like the MSI or anything else along those lines that we could potentially sit there and kind of pivot and use. Although we could probably get signed in and then just submit the various ffmpeg and see as to what those particular versions would kind of sit at as this stuff has gone through. But that would be about the best I could figure to sit there at some sort of thing to try to combat. Because the other portion of me, it would need to be something automated. You can't do the aspect of tight version controls anymore. I mean, you would have to sit there and have a whole team of application security people to go through and basically beat on this stuff. So I have a bunch of virtual machines that these instances would run in. This updated software would go, and you'd have to have them effectively wiretapped, you know. And then with the impetus, with a lot of malware deciding to wait longer and longer before fully activating to just kind of sleep. I mean, it's not uncommon now to see a couple of days to a couple of weeks. So, I mean, you just gotta sit there and let the stuff languish for a while. That's in a perfect world. I mean, everything would just be good code all the way through. But okay, prevent similar incidents in the future. Good question. Given the track record, make sure you're using Sentinel-1 or CrowdStrike. Precursors are indicators that should be watched for in the future to detect similar incidents. You probably would want some sort of established baseline. So, as was noted, that for the attacker-controlled domains and connecting to the various clients that would be there. I mean, you would expect a baseline of activity for your particular versions. So like with ours, we would expect to see the communications out to that 1275.3cx.cloud domain because that's what it's configured for inside. If I can remember where I found that. That's the question. Yeah, right here. 1275.3cx.cloud. But none of these other domains, I mean, especially with not knowing exactly when they were, but this would be outside of an established baseline. Okay, so, and now we need the IOCs, which is going to theoretically just be 3 MD5s. Compromised installer. And this is the one for ffmpeg. Oh, wait, this is the installer. 0EB? Okay, you are doing it right. And this is the D3D compiler underscore 47. I mean, the problem is we don't have much of anything else. I did not see in any of the traffic that we had. So here, I mean, all these raw log sections are empty. So there's nothing in there. I mean, they're obviously trying to connect to some sort of web service, but I don't know what these theoretically would point to. So I guess let's try this then. Give me Talos Intelligence and give me Alien Vault, and we will do the metaphorical needful before we just call this. Because maybe we can find some evidence that it points back to one of these particular domains, even though we don't have like the DNS aspect to it. And I don't suppose that we'd be able to ascertain as to whether or not the system has Sysmon. Because it shows up as what? System monitor. Sysmain. Wait, why am I bothering to sit there and ask here? I've got it running on my personal box. In the event I ever have to go back and try to figure out what. So that shows up as System Activity Monitor. So we would not have. No, we're not going to have sysmon logs then. So then we would theoretically just be entirely reliant on Sentinel-1. And everything here is the installer and the ffmpeg, but then nothing about the D3D compiler underscore 47.dll. So that's realistically what we've got. Cloudflare, not a whole lot behind that. I mean, I'm expecting an awful lot. Yeah, and then we get a bunch of various detections for all the rest of this stuff. But so we get 4.7 carpet datum ink, which doesn't look like that's anything here that would be tied to that. Okay, so let's work through the other ones that we have. No. There we go. No. Why are you not pasting? There we go. I think I need to replace my keyboard. So first one was Cloudflare. Cloudflare again. Again, 4.7, but that's, yeah, not much of anything here that would trace back. And then we have the 165, and if I remember correctly, that is the one that the JA3 fingerprint denoted as that 1275.3cx.cloud. So DigitalOcean doesn't look like they've got anything else that's dumped in through here. But this does have the 1275.3cx.cloud. Exactly what we wanted to see here, at least. Certificate subject. 3CX Phone System Management Console. So, yeah, okay, that fits. And that would be expected, because that's exactly what the 3CX client on this particular box is configured to communicate with. And of course, we get Akamai. Let's encrypt Akamai Edge. Yeah, and there's just nothing there that's going to be useful. And that's it for the IP addresses we have from the perimeter look. So then we've got three IPs that are hitting port 80 and one IP that is hitting 443 or HTTPS. And that would be the one that's associated with the 1275.3cx.cloud. Which Yeah, because I mean, we don't have anything that we can turn back to an actual hit to any of the domains. Points to the compromised installer of the 3CX desktop app was executed on the system, and thus would be wiped and reloaded. A search of the environment for relevant IOCs should be warned. We already did, although we would theoretically just want to kind of take a look at whatever centralized management platform we'd have to go through and try searching for the particular hashes that we would be able to pull together from all this stuff. So I mean, we've got the one for the MSI installer, we've got the one for the ffmpeg.dll, because that was given to us in the alert, and through running through all this stuff, we have the hash for the D3D compiler _47.dll as well. And we'll finish the playbook and we'll see as to how we do on this particular aspect. As to whether or not if it's a failure or, so we're going to say true positive, close the alert. We don't have a write-up URL yet. Answer, true positive. Okay, we got that one. Does the device need to be isolated? Yes, because we had the evidence of the execution. Technique used for the credential access attack, we got that right. Privilege escalation techniques. What is the persistence method of the attack? That was what I had said for boot login, which well, it's just the query. Yeah, so here's the execution. I don't think I grabbed that particular one, did I? That is 1326 in the timeline. Nope, I did not. So this is them executing it. Yep. Okay, so I guess I was wrong in regards to that. Right, because the query is just checking to see as to whether or not if. Yeah, we've got all this. I don't suppose. Oh, what is it? live.sysinternals.com? Yes. I want auto runs. Yeah, current version. So I guess the question would be, okay, did it actually run it as administrator? And scan options. Ready, there we go. Yes, I accept the terms. That's fine. So of course I doubt we're gonna sit there and actually have anything that's gonna get detected. So if we look at scheduled tasks, do we see anything in here that would denote documents? That's no. npcap command, which that's all turned off anyways. So yeah, none of that. So it's not a scheduled task. Login, there is 3. So I guess that would technically come down to, okay, did we have any sort of like sub-process spin-off to gain persistence on the box itself? So some sort of registered entry for auto or for current version run of like malware.exe. No, technically not. We have a query to make sure that the desktop app is still in the current version /run in order for that stuff to kick off. So I suppose, oh well, it's 5 points. Initial access method, that was where we denoted the supply chain. Has the malware been executed on the device, which we confirmed through the endpoint process tree, and then on the box itself with the Sentinel-1. Detections, type of malware used in the attack, that would have been the denotion for a Trojan because it was sneaking in off the back of the 3CX Desktop App Installer. Choose the incident type, no points for that, and whether or not it's true positive or false positive. In this case, it was a true positive. So there we go. Obviously, I've got a metric ton of different stories from Bleeping Computer to add. I will go and try to find. I'm fairly certain Sentinel-1's got their write-up, CrowdStrike's got their write-up for Smooth Operator. And I'll see, I have to go back and see if I can find the one of the articles that sit there and point out the actual number of times the malware kicked off once it found what it was looking for the crypto orgs, in terms of that being what was apparently selectively targeted. But then again, that does kind of fit Lazarus Group's MO, figuring out ways to sit there and get money one shape or form and get it into North Korean hands in order to fund operations. So, but there we go. That has been a fun, if not somewhat overdrawn out, dive into the 3CX. Hopefully, if you've dealt with this, you have my sympathies. If you were like me and not using 3CX, don't get too cocky. Sooner or later, something's going to sit there and get popped that's going to affect you. And it comes for all of us. It's just a matter of time. So the whole point is try not to be too worried. Be concerned, but don't be worried. It is inevitable. Anyways, so that has been SOC 186, EventID 132. or the 3CX DLL-Sideloading attack detection on the LetsDefend platform. And with that effectively done, I don't think I have anything else in the IR path. I will have to go back and see if there's anything else in the SOC analyst path. If there's nothing there, then either there will be a discussion portion done, or we'll probably jump over to Cyber Defenders and find an exercise to keep us busy. I think they just released a new one called Nintendo Fraud, or something along those lines. Another Windows memory image with volatility exercise. So those are always fun. So with all that being said, enough waffling. I will see everybody in the next video.